So Jasmine Crockett has decided to run for a Senate seat in the great state of Texas. And them folk got something to say about it. Now, I've been critical of Sister Crockett in the past, not because she's a Democrat, not because she's a woman, not because she's a sister, but because of the things she talk about or the lack of things she speaks about when it comes to the Black American community or the Black Texas community specifically. And she talks a lot about the LMNOP community and migrants. And she talks about Trump. That's pretty much it. But anywho, let's see what them folk got to say about her before I go in too much detail on what my opinion is. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. When you do subscribe, hit the notification bell so every time I drop a video, you will be the first to know about it. Let's hit it.
And Democratic strategist James Carville is calling out Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett just days after she launched her campaign for Senate. Carville saying the progressive Democrat is breaking a critical rule in politics. Happy to bring in Melissa DeRosa. She's a Democratic strategist, and Noah Rothman, senior writer at A National Review. We got to hear from Carville. We're going to bring him up. Let's listen.
Before we hear Carville, she's a Democratic strategist, they say. Got to kind of wonder about a Democratic strategist being on Fox News. I don't know how often she comes, but let's just see how comfortable she is on this channel.
Well, I'll address the issue of Jasmine Crockett. First of all, she seems like she's well educated. Seems like that she's got a lot of energy. But she, to me, she violates the first rule of politics, and that is, in politics, you always make it about the voters and never about yourself. You listen to her talk, it's a lot more about herself than it is the voters.
I know.
And some people had a problem with what Mr. Carville had to say. You know, they were saying, well, what about Trump? Trump does this, Trump does that, blah, 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 blah. My gosh, do we forget the country that we live in? He can get away with that. She is not going to be able to get away with that. Trump already has a history of people following him, wanting him to be president, wanting to be rich like him, having businesses, being multimillionaire, billionaire, whatever the case may be. Jasmine Crockett don't have that following. Jasmine Crockett don't have the following of them folk like that, just on skin color alone. Let's just be honest with you. But so what he's saying is in politics, and Donald Trump is not a politician. Okay, so let's just be honest with that. Then the man said that she seems like she's well educated, got a lot of energy. And then you got some people who knocking her on her education. Well, you know what? Before we continue with the Fox News interview, kind of want to read a little bit to y'all about Jasmine Crockett's education. Early in college education, if you will, Chat GPT. One can look this up. That's what kills me about when people get these opinions or put these statements out online, make you think they're just trolls or whatever the case may be, just want to be heard. This is not the 80s, 90s, and before. And now you have opportunities and you have access. If you can go online, watch a YouTube channel and put a comment and put a comment stating like she's not educated, where have you been? You must be crazy. This and the third. You can also hit the other tab, hit Google, and ask Google, what is Jasmine Crockett's educational history? And Google will put it out there, or Chat GPT, whatever the case may be. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and read a little bit to you. It says she attended Mary Institute in St. Louis County Day School and Rosetta Kane Academy, both in St. Louis, Missouri, for her secondary education. She then went to Rhodes College in Memphis, Tennessee, where she earned a bachelor's of arts in business administration in 2003. So she has a bachelor's degree. Legal education. After completing her undergraduate degree, Crockett attended law school. See, I remember hearing that from, what was it, the lead attorney? He had said somebody asked him about getting into law school, and he said, well, your undergraduate degree, I think it was him, or somebody on this channel anyway said that you can get a degree in anything. If you want to go, you don't have to go to like 4 years of school, undergrad, and get some kind of undergrad law degree. You can get a degree, a 4-year degree, anything. After that, if you want to go to law school, then you can. But anyway, so after completing her undergrad degree, Crockett attended law school. She began her legal studies at the Thurgood Marshall School of Law at Texas Southern University, but ultimately graduated from the University of Houston Law Center with a Juris Doctor in 2006. So she, like I say, so she went and got her, I think she grew up middle class, mother and father, you know what I'm saying, made money, private school, just had a third. So she has an education. She got book sense, plenty of book sense. You've seen old interviews of her. She talks very eloquently, you know, and very proper and things like that. But now she's should have went hood on us. I don't know why she had to go backwards. I never liked and never respected nobody who didn't grow up that way. Wait till you become grown and try to be part of that lifestyle. I mean, yeah, we say the same thing about a lot of these singers and rappers. You know, they grew up in the limelight their whole life, and you know, you might have been born in the hood or the ghetto or whatever, but been rapping and singing since you was 10, making millions on the road. They ain't really seen that lifestyle. But then you want to wait till you get 30, and now you want to put a rag in your pocket? Man, come on, go on about your business. But anyway, so yeah, like I said, and then it's a early legal career, let's say public defender for a while, private practice and civil rights attorney. Civil rights attorney. My gosh, she could does she not understand how far she can go with dealing with civil rights? But like, especially for us, not for the LMNOP and the migrants. I'm talking about just for us. And she put us in, man, come on. Leadership and had leadership in legal community. Crockett served as president of the Dallas Black Criminal Bar Association and held various leadership roles within the legal community. She is licensed to practice law in Texas, Arkansas, and federal courts, and is a member of the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority. Oh, that's probably why she's getting up there, because she's part of the Divine Nine. Okay. But anyway, let's get on back to what they got to say about her here on Fox.
A lot of young people don't necessarily want to listen to James Carville anymore, but does he have a point?
He absolutely has a point. And it's not just that she's talking about herself, it's that she's talking about going in and lecturing Supreme Court justices as a U.S. senator, and she's using some inflammatory language towards Trump, which it's fine if you're trying to excite the Democratic base in some parts of the country, but it's certainly not going to win you statewide in Texas.
Okay, well,
I'm just going to be petty here real quick. I want y'all to look at this picture here. Sister Crockett over here. Like the forehead, ladies, stay off the synthetic hair, all the makeup, eyelashes. That's not good for our skin, for your skin. I'm not gonna put that stuff on my face and body, but all that stuff is not good. And she might be stressing. Drink you some water, put you some olive oil on, keep everything natural. Promise your face will not be breaking out like this. You know what I'm saying? Could be the hair breaking her forehead out. But anyway, yeah, let's just try to keep it as natural as possible.
To excite the Democratic base in some parts of the country, but it's certainly not going to win you statewide in Texas.
Okay, well, she was talking again yesterday. All right, so Joe Carville was happy about that, right? Here she is on The View going after the U.S. Supreme Court.
But it comes down to whether or not they have to finally have
That's not The View. That's Joy Reid show. Anyway,
some ethics about themselves, because they are the only justices in this country that do not have any ethical guidelines, or whether it is literally that we just are bringing them in and we are going to like have a little conversation with the justices. That comes from only the Senate, or when we're talking about confirming justices, if we're going to expand the court, or if we're talking about whether or not some of these bad actors that are in this administration, if they're going to potentially be held accountable, you got to have the votes in the Senate.
All right, my bad. That was Joy Reid. Maybe she's part of The View someday, but not today. Go ahead there, Noah.
I mean, even that exchange was self-indulgent. why go on that forum unless you're, I mean, you could say you're trying to appeal to the Texas primary electorate. I don't know what percentage follows that program. I bet it's probably small. Most likely she was there in order to receive the gratification that you would by basking in very friendly attention. Any politician who had statewide or national ambitions is a little narcissistic. Even by politician standards, her self-regard is astronomical. And to the notion that she's a very smart person, she's probably a very trained politician, but we know this because she is very well educated and she had a very different persona when she was a much younger figure, not on the national stage. And that's going to come out when she reaches a general electorate. People are going to ask, who is the real Jasmine Crockett? And I don't think we know the answer to that.
But she is a fresher face and a newer, younger face. And
he has a point. Because that's like I was saying, when she first came out, like I said, the way she spoke in interviews is a lot different than the way she's speaking now. And that will confuse people. That will have people to give her the side eye. Because it's like he said, who is she? Is she this woman that's well educated, lawyer, had a law firm for civil rights? Or is she this woman who get up here being ratchet, talking bad about Donald Trump and Marjorie Greene and cursing out people and this, that, and the third? Is that who we're going to get in the Senate? Let me tell y'all something. I'm neither Democrat nor Republican. We've already established that. I got a problem with Democrats is because they're supposed to be the party for our people, and yet they haven't done much, if anything, for our people above everyone else. Equal. I say shit, just equal to other people that they have stomped for, and that's a problem. That's a problem. I can't give you my energy, my vote, my time, my money, and you're not doing anything for me out there publicly or even privately or whatever. I just can't. It seems like you're not fighting for me. Can't do it. Just can't do it. And Jasmine Crockett is part of that entity. The frustrating part for me is that we know the education that she has. We know she's supposed to be bigger than always talking about Donald Trump and how bad of a person, his administration, this, that, and the third. Carville is right. If you're going to run for Senate, your first ad shouldn't be you with a glamour shot picture or Olin Mills picture, and you spinning while Donald Trump is bashing you in the background. That should not, especially if you're trying to appeal to us, voters my age. Tell y'all the truth, man, I would love to vote for Jasmine Crockett if she actually stood on something that made sense and wasn't this emotional. I can't vote for somebody that's that emotional. She needs to be talking about policies. I've seen in the past, she talked about reparations. That's something she could talk. You know what? She can't run on that. She's in the Senate. Ain't too much she can really do about that. But I'm sure there are things that she can run on. She's a civil rights attorney. There's a lot of things you can run on to help the Black people of your state, or just all of your people in your. Let's leave race out of it for a second. If she just standing on any policy for any citizen of Texas, or for the majority of citizens of Texas, to where they feel comfortable following her or voting for her, she'd be all right. She'll be all right in my book. Then she can become a state senator, then maybe a U.S. senator or something like that. I don't know I don't know, or get on the civil. See, you're talking about the Supreme Court, but real leaders and people with real plans don't really get out there and put their real intentions on Front Street. And they sure ain't gonna sit there and talk bad about an administration that's already there. It's already in place. She could quite possibly, if she played the cards right, played the political game correctly. She's only is it late 30s, early 40s? If she played the game like it's supposed to be played, need to be played, she could quite possibly be on the Supreme Court in 20 years. You see what I'm saying? Then she could be part of that change instead of just talking about somebody. And then when you get in, all you can do is talk about somebody. Then you can't do anything. Then you're gonna be like, see, they won't let me do that. We're tired of those politicians. We're tired of those politicians that get in there and then all of a sudden they can't do nothing because the Republicans or the Democrats are stopping us from doing this and the third when you are the one, your party is like running, got the majority of the seats in Congress. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, she could, like I say, do things different. But then the question is, how many people would actually vote for her? Would she actually have a possibility of winning in Texas? Well, let's look at something here. It says the total registered voters in Texas is around 17.5 million people. 17.5 million people. It said Texas does not require party registration. So these numbers are modeled based on voters' primary participation and other indicators. So this is probably the number of people that have voted plus the ones who are registered and haven't voted. It's a estimated Republican voters of 6.6 million people identified as likely Republican. That's about 37.7% of the total estimate of registered voters. 37.7. Okay, that's about right. That's decent. Estimated Democratic voters, 8.1 million or 46.5%. And 46, that's about between 9 and 10% more than Republican voters. So, amazing. And unaffiliated voters, 2.7 or 2.75 million or 15.7%. So that could be swayed anyway. So, I mean, Texas could be a close state. They say Texas ain't had a senator, a Democrat senator since 1988. So who knows? They say don't have the actual turnout and voting patterns can differ substantially from these estimates. Excuse me. Republican turnout in primaries has historically been higher than Democratic turnout in recent cycles. And so the problem is Democrats are not voting. And why? They sitting on the couch. They tired of what's going on. They tired of not getting any kind of tangibles. So they're saying the hell with it. We're just not going. We're just not going out and voting. And then the Republicans just run the party, right? Run the state. And Democrats a lot of times have nobody to blame but themselves. Look here, Jasmine Crockett. I'm just going to tell him this is a lowly man who has a voter registration card that I go out and use from time to time. I think I've used it twice this year already. So here's the thing. Come up with some policies. Stop being emotional so much. Tone down the constant talking about, Donald Trump and the administration. Don't let that be 90% of your conversation. That need to be probably 9% of your conversation, if that. Figure out what your voters want you to run on, what they want you to talk about. Figure that out. That's the most important thing. I work in a dialysis clinic, and we got policies, rules, and regulations, or what have you, things, how we run the clinic. But one thing we do all the time, periodically, is go out and talk to the patients. They have surveys. We ask them what they like about the clinic, what they don't like about the clinic, what changes they feel need to be made. These surveys come in, they get read, and then the powers that be figure out to see what can be done to make the patient's experience better. Why? Because we don't want to lose any patients that we don't have to. We don't want to lose patients you know, over something silly that could be fixed and adjusted in-house because we ignored them. And who knows? Clinic might be cold. They don't hand out blankets no more. Don't hand out water bottles no more. Or they keep changing my time. They're not helping me help me with my insurance or my transportation. Gotta go. Too many problems. I don't like this tech here, and I don't like this nurse, whatever. You try to listen to these patients and do everything we can to make their stay more comfortable. One, they need the treatment. Two, the treatment is for them to live longer. But and I mean, real talk, we don't get paid if we ain't got no patience in them chairs. So I believe that might be the same when it comes to politics. You ain't got no Senate seat if you ain't got nobody voting for you. See what I'm saying? And I think most voters vote for something tangible, for policies. I think I might have voted 3 times. No, I think twice. Okay. Anyway, like voting for tangibles and stuff like that. Things that they need for themselves to make their lives better. And if all you're doing is talking about Donald Trump, you're too emotional and don't nobody want to hear that. And they'll go on and vote for them people that we know, or just sit on the couch, or vote for somebody they don't want to vote for, but they want to make sure you don't get in because you don't, you know what I'm saying, fit the narrative. You do that and you still don't get in, then you know that these people are voting not for policies, but for the status quo and keeping the system that's in place going. And y'all know what I mean by that. But anyway, tell me what you think about this story. Leave your comments below, share it with the world. Let's have an intelligent conversation. You know how we do around here. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Those 4 things cost you maybe a couple of minutes of your day, but it means the world to us here at this channel. With that being said, I leave you in peace and love, and I'll see you on the other side.